Naveed, and Angela.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen, for the introduction. Just gonna take over the screen here really quickly. Hey everyone, welcome to the session. Today we're gonna be focusing on engineering career secrets. So I know that a lot of you guys have been struggling to find jobs. You're definitely not alone in that hunt. Ladderly has worked with over 15 institutions across Canada, and the common denominator is that it's hard to find a job. And so what we're here to do is we're here to help you with that. Angela's going to be working with me today, and yeah, we'll kind of go through a whole bunch of different things. I would really encourage you guys to stay to the end. We are going to have those breakout sessions. So if you have specific questions about your case, we will be reviewing LinkedIn pages and resumes in that session as part of the session. So just a really quick brief introduction. I know Jen already covered it. I'm Naveed. I'm a project engineer at CNRL. I've got 7 years of experience in the Alberta oil sands. I have done tons of different jobs. I've had over 10 positions, anything from a materials tester to managing multi-million-dollar projects. And yeah, the founder of Ladderly. So we'll talk a little bit about Ladderly in a second, but Angela, maybe you want to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure. So hi, everyone. I'm Angela. I currently work as a software engineer at Twitter, but I actually went to school at the U of A for mechanical engineering. And I started my career off in the oil and gas industry. A couple of years into my career, I decided that wasn't really for me and I wanted to switch careers. So I quit my job. I attended a coding bootcamp, learned how to code, and then used a lot of the skills that I'll show you today to find my first job as a software engineer at Twitter, where I'm working at right now.
Awesome. And you'll notice that some of the feedback you get today from myself will focus more on traditional engineering. And what I mean by that is your electrical, your mechanical, your civil, what we consider just engineering in maybe a couple of years ago. But Angela will be focusing more on tech engineering. So software focused, computer science, data analytics, you name it, that's Angela's domain. So if you hear a little bit of bias, you kind of know where it's coming from in our comments. So again, really quickly about Ladderly, it's a not-for-profit run by professionals. It's a team of 7 of us that actually provide free resume reviews and career coaching. There are no strings attached. It's just something that we want to do because we have been new grads before, and we also hire new grads as part of our job. So we see this and we kind of know what's needed. You can see we deal with everything from engineering to business to law, humanities, computer science. And we've actually, just yesterday, we hit our 5th country. So 5 countries we've been supporting students from around the world, which is really exciting. Okay, so very first question. This is not going to be a listen and just listen. It's going to be a listen and interact. So I want you guys in the chat box to tell me, what is your dream company? I want you to tell me that because I want you to keep in mind, this is why you're at this session. You're not at this session to hear me speak. You're at this session to figure out how you're going to get your big job. So let's see it in the chat box. I haven't seen anything just yet, but type out the name of the company that you want to work for. Let's see some introductions, but no companies just yet. Pharmaceuticals. Oh, interesting. Is there a specific pharmaceutical company that we're thinking about, or is it just anything? Maybe I don't know, a Pfizer or a Purdue? While you guys are typing in there, there are some significant companies on the board here. Facebook, so Meta, I guess it's Meta now, Shell, Stantec, Exxon, Microsoft, Twitter, Whirly. Believe it or not, Rochelle and I have worked with some, if not all of these companies at one point or another with our careers. So we will be talking to some of them. Oh, Hamid says Google. Google's a really great company to work for. I have a couple friends who work there, highly recommend. So I want you to keep that in mind, whether or not you're willing to share it in the chat. Write it down on a piece of paper. Again, this is why you're here today. Ooh, nice. Perfect. Okay. I can keep those coming. The presentation is going to break down like this. So we're going to start with the easy topic. The easy topic is, what do you need? Most of you know what you need. You have an idea that you need a resume, that you need some volunteering experience, you need a degree. Those are kind of things that you maybe have already done, you just haven't formed them up yet. And then we're going to talk about what should you do. And this is essentially this is going to differentiate from your peers. So if you pay attention to nothing else today, pay attention to the what you should do section, because we're going to teach you networking skills. We're going to teach you some secrets that we think that most EITs or most new grads or graduate students don't know. And these are the hard ones to learn. And then we'll have an up close and personal session. Like I said, we'll break into 2 breakouts, one for traditional engineering with me and one for more detailed tech engineering with Angela. So without further ado, let's jump into one of the big secrets of engineering. So everyone thinks that your degree, your courses, your awards, and your volunteering is what's going to get you a job or what's going to make the most impact. And unfortunately, I'm going to tell you that's actually not true. While I'm talking about this, I'm just going to ask you guys to tell me if you need help in the chat. Do you need help with your resume more or with your with networking? And we'll talk about why in a second. Essentially, the phase that makes the biggest impact is actually the prep stage, what we call the prep stage. So not the before, but the prep stage that's kind of shown in the middle here. This is your resume, your networking, and your social media presence. These are the things that we see that differentiate students when they apply to jobs. If you have these down pat, you're much more likely to get a job. And Angela and I will focus on that today. That's what we're going to discuss. But we'll also discuss today a little bit about interviews and negotiations. And if you'll notice, the impact on the negotiation phase can either go up or down. This is really in your hands and how you treat it. So I think you'll get some good insight today on some of those details.
Just to add here, out of this life cycle of the job search, the hardest part is getting your degree, getting those valuable skills, and everyone here already has them. So you can rest assured you've already done the hardest part. And the next thing is just, we're going to nail it down so you can get that job that you need.
Absolutely. Thank you, Angela. That's a really good insight there. All right, let's move forward here. Angela, maybe you can take it away.
Yeah. Do you mind if I share?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just one sec here.
While Angela's taking over the share, I noticed that a couple of names here have either already used Ladderly services or are in the process of sending me requests. So I'm happy to see that you guys are attending. I think this will be a good learning for some of you as well. Are you able to get it there, Angela? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Cool. So to get started, I'll be giving you all the tips and tricks that I can give you to better network and better be able to get you to that job that you really want. So just as an exercise, this is my entire career history from my very first job that I had as an engineering summer student at Shell to my current job as a software engineer. I want you all to type in the chat, how many of these jobs do you think that I got based solely on a resume application? Like I put in my resume, I applied online, and I got the job.
I'm gonna guess 4. Let's see what other people say.
See the chat. Let's see.
Oh wow, okay.
1, 2,
some 1s, a couple 3s.
Okay.
Oh, somebody said none. Right?
Okay. Cool. So the actual answer is 2. So some of you got it. So out of all the 9 jobs that I've had, 2 of them I got purely kind of, I guess 2.5. Because this one I had a connection to. 2 of them I got basically based on my resume. Everywhere else I had some sort of connection, be it like a family member, a professor, a friend, someone that introduced me to the right person so that I could get that shot at an interview and then get the job. So this is what I want to emphasize in this session, that you already have all the skills that you need to get the job that you want. You will work on your resume. Your resume will be your presentation to the company of your skills. But getting your resume in front of the right person requires networking. So today I'm going to be showing you how to use LinkedIn to do that. So who here has a LinkedIn account? You can just type in the chat. And who here thinks their LinkedIn account is like in pretty good shape? Cool. Okay. Sounds like people have worked on their LinkedIn accounts. So I'm going to go over kind of the basic things that you need to have on your accounts. Then I'll go over some like extra bells and whistles that you can add. And then I'll go into a brief like demo of how to actually use LinkedIn in an effective way to find connections. So basic things that you need to have in your LinkedIn account is that it needs to look complete. It needs to look like you put in the effort and made it look great. So you have to have a photo, what are these called? A banner. You have to fill it all out. As far as the photo, make sure your photo is kind of a close-up picture of your face. Ideally, you're like smiling or like look open and kind of ready to connect with other people, and have a background that is not very distracting. If you're not currently employed, I encourage you to put your title as the title that you want. That way you can kind of message to recruiters the roles that you're looking for. And same with location. So I've never actually lived in San Francisco, but when I was looking for jobs in tech, I wanted to live in San Francisco. And since I knew most tech companies were gonna interview me online anyways, I was like, well, I'm gonna market myself as someone who wants to be in San Francisco and let recruiters reach out to me for that. So, and then another must-have is you have to have all your work experience filled out really well. I basically pretty much take what I have on my resume and put it on LinkedIn. And you want to do this for all your positions or your co-ops, all of your experience. Naveed will be going through kind of how to build these bullet points in a very effective way. But basically, you probably have already done this work. Just make sure it's on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, and just really quickly, like I know that to some of you this may seem like very straightforward, and you may already have this, but you will not believe the number of people that approach Ladderly that don't have this stuff. And I mean more than like 60 or 70% of people don't have a complete LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. So just some extra things that you could have also on your LinkedIn. You can, I don't know if everyone knows this, but you can customize your URL so that it's kind of clean. It's not user 123. So mine just says Angela Guardia. And this is great if you're going to link that in your resume, because it makes the URL link pretty like short and sweet. And another thing is to show recruiters that you're open to work. You can click on that button and tell like kind of message everyone saying, or recruiters will be able to see that you're open to work. I don't know how effective it is, but I know it doesn't hurt to make sure that recruiters know you're looking for work. And some other kind of nice to haves, but I would encourage you to do them. Write a section about yourself, and encourage you to do this to basically be able to show who you are to recruiters and to practice telling your story, because that will come in handy later on. What we're going to try to do, how you're going to get that job, is you will be making connections with real humans. So an effective way to make connections is to be able to tell your story in a compelling way. And that can start with simply like writing down who you are, what you're good at, what you've been through. And just a tip, if you have like, if you struggle writing things about yourself, because sometimes it's hard to just like say nice things about ourselves, have a friend or a colleague write this for you. Sometimes they'll be way more objective about your skills and your value than you would, and they'll be more willing to give you all the credit you deserve. Another cool thing that you can do on LinkedIn that you can't do on your resume is highlight your experience or your projects. So this here that I'm pointing at is I was highlighting my experience during my coding bootcamp, and I linked my GitHub profile, which has all my coding projects on it, and I linked a presentation that I recorded about a coding project that I did. So this is something you can't do on your resume, but if you have a presentation you recorded, if you have like a paper that was published, you can do that on here and bring attention to it in your LinkedIn profile. Okay, so that's enough theory. Does anyone have questions?
There's one in the chat here from Jennifer. Oh, never mind. That is something.
Yeah, Jennifer wants to know about if you don't actually have the title live in. So obviously you don't want to lie on your resume or on your LinkedIn. But if you have the skills, if you graduated from mechanical engineering, you can say on there that you're a mechanical engineer. You're not going to say you're a senior mechanical engineer or you have a specialization, but the idea is to make sure you come up in searches. If someone is searching for a mechanical engineering new grad, then you'll come up as a mechanical engineering new grad. And for location, at least in the tech world, since most of our recruiting is completely like done online, that was something I could do. There are limitations. You know, if you're in Asia and you're saying that you're in the US, you won't be able to, like, I don't know, schedule interviews and things like that. In my case, I was living in a small city in California and I wanted to basically connect with people in San Francisco. So I just put San Francisco. So it's obviously, you have to use discretion. You don't want to misrepresent your skills and you don't want to misrepresent, for example, whether you can or can't work in a country. Like you have to be legally able to work at a country and things like that.
Just to jump onto that, for some of the traditional students, I know a lot of you are going to be applying to oil and gas in Alberta. And I'll just tell you right now, if you live at or close to Calgary, Edmonton, or Fort Mac, just put that on your title. If you're applying for a job, let's say like in Edmonton from Calgary, it doesn't matter. Recruiters won't really care about that difference. It's close enough that it won't be taken away from you. Especially if you guys are new grads, I know a lot of you are willing to move. So the intention is, at least in Alberta, if you're applying for a job, you're also willing to move to that location. So don't sweat that too much for traditional engineering.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's start using LinkedIn. Let's start making connections. So I think, can you see my LinkedIn page right now?
Yes, we can.
So again, this is my LinkedIn profile, what I just showed you, so you can see it. So if I'm a new grad or myself right now, and I want to get a job at a different company, I heard someone say in the chat that they want to work for Google. So I can look up here, Google, and I can go to their company page. And one of the most useful tabs here for me is this People tab. So here you can see kind of where Google employees live, where they went to school. So we actually went to a really good school at the University of Alberta. So I'm going to check if we have any alumni that work at Google. Cool. University of Alberta is there. There are 218 University of Alberta alumni that work at Google right now. So then if you scroll down, it shows you specific people from that result. So all of these people work at Google. I'm curious, and I want to see if someone did a similar career switch to mine. They went to they studied mechanical engineering, but now they do software at Google. So I'm going to put here mechanical engineering. Okay, let's see. We got some results here. So these 6 people probably have some mechanical engineering related things in their profile and have some U of A related things on their profile. Ideally, if you have connections with that person, you want to make sure if one of your connections is a close friend to you, then you can ask that friend to introduce you to that person. So, for example, let's look at this first one. Reza is a machine learning engineer at Google. He's been there 4 years. And look, he studied at the U of A. He did his master's and his PhD. And did he study mechanical engineering? Yeah. So he studied mechanical engineering. So let's say I'm really interested in my career right now to go into machine learning, which is what he's doing. So what I would do now is I would connect with him. And since we don't have, like most people don't have LinkedIn Premium, something that I do is write kind of a nice message in the connection as like my connection note. And this message is basically, you want to make a connection with this person. So here I would say something like, hi Reza. I'm a current software engineer at Twitter. I can't type, I'm sharing. And say something like, I'm a current software engineer at Twitter. I noticed that I have a similar background to yours and would like to connect, whatever. Like I'm, something else I would say would be like, hey, I noticed we both studied at the U of A, and would you have some time to chat with me because I really want to follow your career path? And then hopefully he would reply back, and then you'd have a connection to Google. And then you kind of take it from there, where they would maybe sponsor you for a position, or simply tell you kind of, these are the things you need to do, these are the skills you're missing, or these are your strong points to be able to get a job here. So here I'm just gonna say, hey, happy to, since I already connected with him, to other U of A alumni.
Yeah.
I don't want to bother him for a chat.
Where do we go if we don't know how to write those messages? Where can I find some information on that?
Yeah, so like you said, like you saw, sometimes writing these messages can take some time. I have practice with them, and it like takes me time to do that. So Ladderly actually, do you know the Ladderly?
Yeah, it's Ladderly.ca.
Ladderly actually put together a few resources for everyone. So
networking cheat sheets.
Networking. So if you struggle putting together some of these messages, here is a cheat sheet you can use. Basically kind of what I was doing. Hi, I'm a current student at X, really interested in Y. I noticed you, whatever. You can use these, fill it out, make them kind of sound like you a little bit. And yeah, that's how you start making those connections. So in my job search for my job at Twitter, I sent tons of messages like this, not even to, just in general. I wasn't targeting a specific company at the time. And I got to make some really great connections with people. Not all of those resulted in, say, an interview and a job offer, but a lot of them resulted in really, really great connections in the industry. Some of them did result in interviews, and they are connections I have to this day. And I'm still amazed that they started as just a simple LinkedIn connection note. And now those people, you know, I can reach out to them for a job whenever I decide to move on from my current role. So there's a lot of value in building these connections. So, okay, let's see. One thing I wanted to also show you is that sometimes, let's say, I don't have any machine learning experience right now. So maybe getting a machine learning job at Google right now is out of my reach. So one good thing to look at too is to see this, like the person that you're looking at that kind of has a similar path than you, see what steps they took before they got to their dream company. So for example, this person worked at Vivo before working at Google. So maybe if I can't get this role at Google, I can probably apply to some roles at this company, because I know eventually I could get the role that I wanted. So I know that Google hires people from this company. So those are ways to not only build connections, but also spark some creativity and like inspiration about where to apply. Sometimes we don't even know where to apply. So there's one last point I wanted to make with that tool. So now, who would want to do this live with us today? Is there someone here who wants us to help them draft one of these messages and send a connection note so they can get one step closer to working for their dream company?
Ooh, that's scary. But I have to say, if you're gonna do it with anyone, I would really recommend doing it with Angela. I think if we have one brave volunteer from the audience, we can work with them to send a first unique message. Maybe if you guys just want to write in the chat if you'd be willing to be a volunteer. Angela, what do they need to do if they're going to be a volunteer?
Yeah, so if you're going to be a volunteer, you'd have to be okay being recorded. So we'll ask you to come off mute and turn on your camera. You have to have a LinkedIn account because we'll be kind of using LinkedIn at the same time. I'll be sharing my LinkedIn page and I'm going to ask you to open yours. So we can use kind of your connections and things like that, and so that you can send the message. And ideally you have a dream company that you want to work for, or you have you want to get a job somewhere. So I don't see anyone in the chat that is willing to take part of this exercise with us.
Be brave, people. Be brave. You want to come here to get a job, but you got to make the first step if you're willing to do it.
Oh. No, no one. Okay.
Oh, we have a volunteer.
Hey, we have a volunteer.
Hello. Should I start sharing my screen or?
No. So I won't ask you to do that, but if you're comfortable, I'd love to see your face. If you turn your camera, if you're not, that's fine too. And if you're also comfortable being recorded. Hi, how do I say your name? Della?
Yes, that's right.
Della, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for helping us out today.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming or for volunteering. Do you want to tell us a bit about you?
Sure. So my name is Della. I am a recent graduating from computing science. As for the companies that I like to work with, I'm not particularly sure yet, but I would like to work within either the education sector or the mental health sector, something along those lines. And I'm really inspired by your journey transitioning from mechanical engineering into software engineering.
Cool, that's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing about you. So let's see if we can get you a connection in those industries that you're interested in. So to get started, I'll ask you, but anyone in the chat as well, can you tell me, this is one of the messages I sent back in 2020 when I was looking for connections and looking for a job. Take some time to read it and tell me what you like about this message. And Della, you can do it live if you want.
So reading your message, I particularly like the keywords you use, such as sustainability and green tech. I think it really highlights the fields or industries that you're passionate about.
Yeah, that's great.
So I would like to include something like that.
Yeah, okay. Anything else?
The career switcher part, I think that's something that makes you stand out more than other people who, like myself, thousands of grads coming fresh out of university. Mm-hmm. And specifically, the last line, let me know if you have some time for a quick chat next week, I guess, shows that you've provided the initiative to step forward so that we could have a conversation afterwards.
Yeah, you actually nailed it. Like, those are the 3 things that I wanted you to notice. So I think the key to these connection messages is trying to build a connection. You have to build a connection in a very short message, so it has to be effective. So one key thing to do is to express interest either in the industry that this person is in their role, in their career path, but you have to show kind of some passion or interest about what this person does. Secondly, if you can, this is not always possible and it's not really required, but if you can highlight a connection that you have to that person, like if you both went to the U of A or if you both volunteered at X, that just kind of will make them like trust you a little bit more, or make them feel like they have something in common with you. It might make them more willing to want to spend their time chatting with you. And finally is a call to action. This is super important. If you're going to send these messages, make sure you're being clear as to what you want to get out of this message. So what I wanted to get out of this message was a conversation with this person. So I said, let me know if you have a quick time to chat next week. I would improve that today with a time, like let me know if you have 15 minutes, and specifically say for a Zoom chat, so that they know that I'm not asking something huge of them. Like I'm asking for 15 minutes. They don't even have to leave their workstation. They can just like click a button and talk to me for a little bit. So great. So those are exactly the things that I wanted you to point out there. So let's try to get you that connection then, Bella. You said you're interested in education and in mental health, right?
Yeah, I guess one company that I applied to recently but haven't heard back from is Coursera.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I really like what they do.
I'd recommend anyone who's following along as well to open up your LinkedIn page and see if you can make one of these connections while I was trying it out.
Yeah,
obviously
definitely.
not exactly the same person, but just the concept.
Yeah. So Coursera, it looks like I have one random recruiter as a connection there. When you see this page, do you have any connections there?
Oh, I haven't pulled it up yet. So sorry, I have multiple windows up.
It's all good. I wonder, is anyone else pulling up their LinkedIn? If you want to let us know in the chat, just so I know who's following along.
Oh, actually, yes, I have 8 people from the U of A working here.
Nice. Do you know any of them?
I'm gonna look up the University of Alberta very quickly. No, actually, judging by the looks of them, but there are quite a few.
Okay, so Alberta. So you're going here and looking at the University of Alberta right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Let's see who works here. Nice. We have some people that work here. And do you have any connections with the people? For example,
yeah.
Here, a friend that is connected to this person and another friend that is connected to this person.
Yes, the first person that you pointed to, Lee Wan, I have 31 shared connections with him. I had this phase where I was just connecting with everyone that I knew of, so I guess that's why.
Do you have like, so let's do this. A really, really good way to connect with someone at a company is through a warm connection. So that's when someone that they know introduces you to that person. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like, if you wanted to meet Naveed, I know Naveed personally, we've been friends for years. So I'd be like, hey, Naveed, I have this incredible student, Della. She wants to look for a job at X. And that will make it like almost for certain that person will get back to you because a friend is asking them to do so. So if you can leverage your network, definitely do that. of course, like sometimes I've asked people to connect me through LinkedIn connections, and they say kind of what you just said. Like, oh, I actually don't know them. I just kind of went crazy adding everyone on LinkedIn, which is fine, but you tried, and that's okay. But let's say you don't have anyone to make like a warm connection to this person. So you just want to make a connection on your own. Out of all of these profiles, like, do you want to talk, I guess, what kind of role would you want at this company?
I guess an entry-level software engineering role.
So, so I see a senior software engineer here, Andrew. And Andrew went to computer engineering at the U of A, also Nate. Started at Microsoft and then went on to Coursera. So would you want to reach out to Andrew, for example?
Yeah. I'm willing to give it a try.
Yeah. No, maybe he'll know. So let's see. Let's read this networking cheat sheet and see if we can find a good connection on here. And Naveed already sent the resources. So let's see if one of these could help us start the message. So we could probably use this first one.
Yes.
If that looks good for you, though. Okay.
Yeah, I think
this
that's
first one. Let's see if I can edit this as we go. So we can say something like, hi, what was his name? Andrew. Hi, Andrew. I am a, let's see, you are a
recent grad.
Yeah, recent CS grad.
Mm-hmm.
From really interested. I would even say from the U of A. Right away, so they can see it right away and they have like a connection with you.
Yeah.
Alberta. So Alberta. You can say, I am really interested in a career in ed tech, maybe. And I would love to hear about your journey into that field.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we can end it here. This is like, however you feel comfortable. So I'm really Korean in ed tech, especially at Coursera. I would love to hear about your journey or about your experience and role there. Let me know if you have, say, 15 minutes for a quick Zoom chat next week. Thanks. Something like that. I don't know if you want me to paste that for you or if you got it.
Yeah, I think I got it. I really like the I guess the fact that you use ed tech. I didn't think that was an actual word that people would have used. So I guess that really points to the specific industry that.
Yeah, for sure. So you can go ahead and click that connect and add it in the note for Andrew. And let me know if that actually fits, because sometimes there's a character limit.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. Could you pull up that again? I just wanted to know that very last line. Okay, thank you.
can feel the magic happening now. It's coming fast.
Yeah, I really hope Andrew gets back to you.
Thank you, me too. You know, if you have 15 minutes.
So while Della's just finishing that up, for you traditional engineers out here who maybe would do something a little bit different for, I don't know, a Syncrude or a Suncor or a CNRL, this format still works. It's important, obviously, to change it to make it fit better for what you're trying to get into. So words like ed tech and maybe some specific terminology as relates to your field really makes a difference in showing that, hey, I actually know a little bit about this space. I'm happy to talk about it, and I'm not coming at you with no knowledge in the field whatsoever. And of course, just a note, Andrew is off limits. That is Della's request. So you've got to find your own. That's for her. If we get 100 people from Ladderly sending a message, then it's going to be a problem. So Della, it's all you.
Please don't spam this poor man. Della, did you connect?
I did. I sent
Great.
the message.
Congratulations.
That was kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Tell me how you feel.
I'm glad that it's sent. So it's out there. Just awaiting a response.
Okay. So let me tell you, you should, and so we didn't tell Andrew that you already applied, but you should be doing this for every single application that you submit. You should be connecting to someone at that company. So those nerves that you feel, you'll get over them because you're going to be doing this over and over and over and over. And Andrew might be a busy person and he may not get back to you. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Go find another connection. Like there's no limit to the opportunities that you have to get this job at Coursera that you really want. So yeah, hopefully like they get back to you in the call. If they do call you, make sure you are like respectful of their time. And if you said 15 minutes, try to keep it short, but have some questions for them. Ask them what they do. Hopefully you build that connection there. You can tell them that you already applied to the role. And maybe if they feel like you would be a good fit for the company, they might even, find out who the hiring manager is. Or you can ask them, could you find out who the hiring manager is for this position? And then you do the same thing with the hiring manager. There is no reason why not to do that. Like it won't negatively, as long as you're respectful, it won't negatively affect you. So yeah, that's awesome. You will be getting over those nerves because you'll do this for all the companies you want to work for, and you'll get that job that you really want.
Yeah, thank you so much for the advice. I have a small question. So when it comes to messaging people on LinkedIn, would you recommend doing it after you make an application to an open role or before? Because sometimes when they ask you to include a cover letter, I've heard that you need to include the hiring manager's name, and I've had trouble in the past finding that.
Yeah, so ideally you do it before. I would say like, if no one's getting back to you within a couple of days, then go ahead and submit the application because position's close. You want to at least make sure that your resume is there, but I would hold off for a couple of days. Try to get that connection because out of that connection could come a referral. And a referral will increase your chances of your resume getting looked at by a lot. So, and you can definitely find out the hiring manager, and you can even ask them if you can mention that you know them in the cover letter. I would say keep your requests in those chats pretty minimal because you are just talking to a stranger. They're volunteering their time to talk to you. So don't ask them for a job or anything like that. Just keep it super informative. And if you feel like the conversation flowed well and that you built some sort of trust and connection, then maybe ask for the referral, or there's ways to ask for that in kind of like a indirect ways. You could say, oh, what are the next steps I should take to get hired at this company? And there they can just say, hey, just apply online. Or they could be like, actually, I can refer you. you know, and those are ways you can ask for the referral without actually asking for the referral. So, yeah, so
Smart.
yeah, so this is the kind of stuff we do at Ladderly with people, because they're pretty like simple tools, but if you don't know them, then you can't use them. So yeah, thank you so much, Stella, for volunteering. You're so brave. I hope you send tons more like this. Make sure you use the resources for like that cheat sheet. Everyone should kind of tailor it to themselves to set like so that not everyone kind of sounds the same. But yeah, well done.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Good job, Della. I think maybe a note, she's ahead of the pack now. She's one step closer than everybody else in the call, unless you guys actually managed to write this with us, which is also very exciting.
That's awesome. So just to close up the networking portion here, sometimes people ask, or like even you, I don't know if you've ever reached out to people on LinkedIn, but like, should you reach out to a recruiter or an employee? And if you have, let me know who you've reached out to. I think a poll is coming out.
It should be up now. You should be able to see the poll. So far, people are saying employee. Oh, we got a couple of recruiters. Oh, it's even. We're at 50-50.
Oh, pretty even.
Let's see. So far, we have 54% participation. I'm hoping to see at least 70. 61, 64.
Where were all these
both
participants when we were asking for volunteers?
Where were you guys a few minutes ago?
It's okay.
77%. Angela, go ahead.
Okay. Great. So I should actually go back into presentation mode. So the answer is to both, but for different reasons. So typically you reach out to a recruiter when you're looking for a specific role, and you can kind of let them know the role that you want, or you can let them know you already applied for a role, and just kind of try to highlight your application that way. And these kind of connections will come in more handy the further you are along in your career. I think there is more value in those employee connections at this point for everyone here who's a new grad. But definitely message both. The idea is to make a connection at the company. When you're reaching out to an employee, you should do kind of what I did with Della earlier, like try to keep it informational, try to keep it kind of related to that employee, their experience, their career path, and not ask them for a job. That's not what they probably can't hire you like that. So Naveed, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I just want to say that the difference is also how you approach them, right? Like the types of questions you ask a recruiter are going to be different than the types of questions that you ask an employee. An employee is more of a networking thing. If you try and reach out to an employee and say, hey, I want a job, I don't think you're going to get anywhere. Yeah, I think that's a good note there.
So that basically concluded the networking portion. Sorry, Naveed, I'm spoiling your slides. I just want to say I will be doing, if time permits, during my breakout session, I will be doing a similar exercise with anyone that wants to volunteer in like a smaller group. So stay tuned. You can come to that breakout room and we can do that later.
Awesome. Well done, Angela. I think, and Della, again, I have to commend you. What an effort there. So well done. So like I said before, this is not a listen to Naveed and Angela session. This is a do session. So I want you guys to open up your resumes on your computer. And like, I really mean open up your resume. Like I'm going to wait until a couple people in the message box tell me that they have their resume open, because we're going to focus on really, really common mistakes that Ladderly sees. I've seen so many resumes, you guys, and the number of mistakes that I see that are consistent are incredible. Has anyone opened their resume on their side? Let me know in the chat. I swear I'm not going to move until someone says that they have their resume open on their screen. Nice. Okay, that's 2. I'll take it. And this is, again, you're going to see things in real time the same way that Angela did for mistakes in your resume. Okay. So first things first, I know that everybody has their own opinion about this, but I have to say that boring is better. Everyone thinks that more color, more visuals, more uniqueness is really good. And I'm actually here to tell you that no, it's not. The most important thing is your networking. Your resume really is almost a formality with some really critical information on what you need to include. So I have 2 resumes here. One is actually on the left is my resume. It's my real resume from when I was a co-op student way back in the day. I guess not that long, but a little bit back. This is a very simple and plain template. I don't know if there are any co-op students on the call. If there are, or if there are any interns or anything like that, use the co-op template from the Engineering Career Connection Center. I cannot stress this enough. They are specifically looking for resumes from U of A engineering students. Now, for most of you said that you guys are graduates from U of A or grad students. You don't need to use this template, but use a simple template. Now, on the Ladderly website, there are a couple of templates that you can use, one for traditional engineering and one for tech engineering. Feel free to use them. Those are Angela and I's real resumes with some of the information changed on them. So please don't share them. Please don't copy and paste them because it does affect us personally. But I think they're really good. I'm just going to go over this resume on the right-hand side really quickly because it looks kind of nice on first glance. He's got a picture, which is good. But I mean, in reality, who wears a picture of them with sunglasses on their resume? It's a little bit weird. He's got this weird flow chart on the top right-hand corner with customer. This guy's name is Ham Duggo, so I guess he's saying that he's somehow pushing customers to make money. Like, I don't really get it. It doesn't really add that much value. Yeah, one of the things that I noticed too is that people make the mistake of not using a professional email. So this guy's email says thehamman@hotmail.com. It's kind of weird. I just use your first name and your last name or some variation of that for your email. Gmail is totally acceptable. He's listed his education, which is great. His work experience is a little bit weird though. So I know it's a little small, but his first bullet point is that he helped like 50 customers a day. Like language that you choose in your resume is going to be really important, and we'll actually go over some very specific bullets that I want you guys to use for your resumes as well. He's done a decent job of trying to show how much of a physical impact he's made with money, and actually it's a really good thing, and I'll teach you how to do that in a moment, but numberifying your resume is really important. The last 2 things I want to show you is obviously the visual in the bottom left-hand corner with that weird money graph thing. Just forget that entirely. But a lot of people do this. I actually seen this on at least 20 or 25 resumes. The skills section is based on percentages. I don't know what that means. So for example, he's saying that he has a 35% something in MS Office. Does that mean he's 35% good at MS Office? I don't know. That doesn't mean anything. He's 15% good at Italian language. That means nothing to me. So if you have this on your resume, either be able to speak to it or take it off. Honestly. So anyways, the message here is boring is better. The next thing is fonts. I'm not going to exaggerate. I have seen only 4 resumes in the entire time I've been doing Ladderly that don't have font issues. And what do I mean by that? I mean that are your fonts consistent, clear, and does the size make sense for the font? So consistency is like, are you using the same font for your whole resume? Are you using Calabrese for the whole thing? Are you using Arial for the whole thing? It's okay to have 2 different fonts if it's like, for example, a title and then a subtitle. But if you're using different fonts in different parts of your resume, it doesn't work. Spacing is also really good. Make sure that your bullets all line up. If you print your resume, I want you to be able to tell me that and take a ruler and see, do all of my bullet points actually line up in a straight line? I'm willing to bet money that yours may not. And that's nothing to say against you guys, but it is a really, really common mistake. Is it clear? Am I using like some sort of, I don't know, cursive writing with a weird font that is really hard to read or I need to squint at? Choosing your font type is really important. And again, I'm actually curious, in the chat, tell me what size your font is for your bullets. Let's really quickly check. I wonder if anyone, Sen has 12. I wonder, does anyone have anything bigger than 12? Does anyone have a 13 or a 10 or maybe even an 8? I've seen a lot of 7s in the past. So a couple people have 12s. Anyone else? 12, okay. So 12 is good. 9 is pushing it. I would really recommend that you don't go below size 10. If you are struggling to fill your resume, or if you're overflowing your resume at size 10, I'm going to tell you right now you have too much information. And we'll talk about what too much information looks like in a minute. Okay. This is the part I want you to take a screenshot of this screen because there's a lot of information and we're not going to be able to cover it all right this second. But I want you to lay out your reference. Well, I shouldn't say I want you to. I recommend, Ladderly recommends that you lay out your resumes like this. So we'll go over the new grad first because a lot of you guys are new grads. I want you guys to have an objective of or highlights of qualifications at the very top. If you don't have this, you know what? Don't put it. This is really optional. This is the only one that's optional on the whole list. Having an objective or highlighted qualifications is really good if you're looking for a very specific job where you're going for an internship. And then in the highlighted qualifications, I want you to write that I am the student or I am a new grad that's specifically looking for this month-long internship. That's when you should use your highlighted qualifications, or if you have some really good examples of your qualifications. And we'll look at an example of what that looks like a little bit later. I want you then to show your education. I want your education to be before your work experience if you're a new grad, because that's going to dictate the kind of work you're going to go into. And then I have projects starred. So Angela, maybe you can speak to the starred projects really quick.
Yeah, I just want to say if you don't have work experience, at least in the tech world, your projects almost count as work experience. If you have projects that are up on GitHub, you can for sure put those up there. They are valuable. Your work experience will supersede them. Like it's more valuable if you had an internship, but if you haven't, no, there's no issue. Put some of your projects up there.
Awesome. And then I think that applies as well to tech skills. And then of course, and I know that most of you guys are engineers, for me, please, if you do nothing else, please, please, please tell me that you are certified with a PEGA. Tell me that you're an EIT for a PEGA, or you're a PEng at a PEGA, or you at very, very minimum have the ability to register with a PEGA if it's required. If I saw a resume that didn't have an PEGA reference on it, I get nervous because either it means you don't know what the rules are to working in Alberta, or you just don't care enough to put it on your resume. Both of them are not good options. So please put something in reference to a PEGA if you're in Alberta, BC a PEG if you're in British Columbia, whatever it is. Certifications, community involvement, and other info. The other info is a good section to have. I know that some people will debate this, but it shows me a little bit about your personality. I want to know about you. I know that you're a software engineer, but maybe you like to go biking or hiking or play soccer. It's something that I can relate to you on, and it can break the ice between us. So don't be afraid to include that. For the rest of you who have, and I'm going to say lots of experience is more than 3 years of experience. I know it's not really lots of experience, but that's some real experience that you can rely on. Lead with your work experience. Show me that you've actually done something tangible. Then you can do your projects and your education, your tech skills, and the way that it's listed there. I think it's really important. Farhana has a question. How do we refer to a PEGA if we are, let's say, graduating in August and yet to get our EIT title? That's a great question. I have heard this a lot. I would say that you are in the process of applying for your EIT status, or you are going to be attending the ethics, whatever. Show me that you're somehow getting to your a PEGA license as an EIT. You actually, as a student, I believe you can be a student member of a PEGA. I would even, if you are a student member of a PEGA, you can say, I'm a student member of a PEGA, currently applying for EIT status. That's a really great idea. Another question from Mohammed. I'm an international student. How do I figure out what certification I need? That's a good question. It's a bit of a complicated one as well. It depends on what kind of work you're going into. So for example, for the sake of the conversation, let's say you're going to be an engineer in Alberta. You want to go onto the APEGA website and figure out what license you need. So either you're going to be an EIT, which usually means you have less than 4 years of experience, or you're a professional engineer or PEng, and that means you have more than 5 years of experience. Knowing this is absolutely critical. If you go into an interview and somebody asks you, are you a registered member in Alberta? And you say no, it's not going to reflect well. It tells me that you don't know what you need to work in the province, and it also tells me that you need to do a little bit of homework. Now, Mohammed, your situation may be unique, and I'm happy to chat with you in the breakout session about what we need specifically for you. But as a good rule of thumb, in Alberta, to practice as an engineer, you need a PEGA license. If you are doing something a little bit more specific, let's say you're doing medicine or nursing or whatever, you should look at the colleges of those faculties, or you can reach out to the faculty directly and ask them. They can at least point you in the right direction and give you some resources. I know that's not exactly an answer to your question, Mohammed, but I hope that helps. Lean engineering consulting. Okay, how about you and I chat about it in the breakout? I think I have an idea of the direction you need to go in. Okay. All right. So this one's a little bit boring, but it's the most important slide for your resume bullet point. So I'm going to teach you about STAR. I'm sure you guys have learned about STAR. If you ever took an Eng 100 class or anything like that, or you've been a co-op student, you have seen these words before. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. And this is how you're going to label your resume. So I want you to take a screenshot of this if you haven't already. And of course it's recorded, but the way you're going to write your bullets are going to be like this. So just to show you what it looks like, this is a real example of one of the roles I had when I worked at Shell. So I was a project services new grad, which basically means that I did cost control and I did forecasting and risk assessments and stuff like that for big projects. So on your resume, and because all of you have your resume open, I trust that all of you have your resume open on one screen or another, your very first thing in the green box here should show me that what was your job? And I want you to lead with your company and then your name and title afterwards. And then for your date, you're going to write it in this blue, nice and clear. I want it like this, crisp. The reason that your date isn't somewhere else is because I want to know how long you worked there, and I don't want to have to guess that you worked, I don't know, January 2016 to May 2017 without actually seeing the months. Put your months on your job. Put your months on your job. One more time, put your months on your job. It's super, super important for people to see and get an idea of how much you actually have done in that role. Okay, now that you're done that, your very first bullet point is going to be, going back to this, is going to be your action, sorry, or your situation. So your situation was that in my case, I worked with project managers to develop front-end projects utilizing risk assessments, cost estimation, and forecasting tools. From the very first bullet on your resume, I need to be able to tell what did you do? What did Della do? What did Luke do? What did Killian do? What was the job that this person had just on the first bullet? If I have to read more than that to figure it out, we're already doing something wrong. Okay, the next bullet. Oops. The next bullet is action. I want to know what you did in your job. And that's highlighted in the yellow. So for me, I worked on projects to determine the long-term benefit of Shell Canada's oil sands position. And I eventually informed Shell executive leadership decision to divest from these assets. So that's the action I did. That's what my everyday looked like. That's one of the projects that I worked on. It tells you something specific of what I did. What was my responsibility? And my last one, and again, this is the most important one, is the result. Your result better be on there, and I want you to numberify your result. So I'll give you two examples of results and achievements for myself. So I was awarded a $14 million feasibility capital portfolio based on proven cost leadership, and I projected monthly costs with a less than 5% variance, which basically means I was very accurate with my numbers. But I was awarded something. You see that accomplishment? I was awarded $14 million feasibility capital portfolio. Somebody said, hey, Naveed's doing a really good job. Let's give him this responsibility. And look, there are numbers. There are two numbers in that first line. $14 million, it tells you how big it was. And then less than 5% variance tells you how much I did. It quantifies it. I call this numberifying. Write down on your notes if you're taking any notes, numberify. I want you to numberify your resume because this really tells me what you actually did. And then the last bullet point I won't read, but essentially it tells you how many, it tells you again with numbers, look at the numbers, what I actually did. This is really important. I'm gonna just really quickly pull here and feel free to ask any questions that you may have, but I want you to tell me, did you guys catch any of these mistakes and how many of these mistakes did you catch?
I want to add a note on numberifying. Like, you may not remember exactly what kind of impact you did. And don't let that stop you from putting some numbers down. I don't want you to lie or make anything up, but if you have a ballpark of the impact that you had, if you can remember it, if you can look it up, just a good estimation, it can be good to put on your resume. Especially if this is something you should be doing as you work. You should be documenting these things so you can be really accurate on your resume. But I remember I was trying to numberify my resume after I finished my internships, and I didn't remember exactly, you know, the percentage variance of my cost estimation, but I knew it wasn't like 50% off. So maybe I was like, you know, you can give a range too. So I just don't want you to be scared about accuracy, as long as you're not making anything up.
I think that's a really good point, Angela. It can be really hard to estimate some things. Like, for example, if you worked in retail, how do you numberify your resume? I can help you with that, but it's really important that you at least try. So thank you. It's a really good point. So I'm going to share the results of the survey, but I'm a little bit frustrated with the results, and I'll tell you why in a second. I'm going to end the poll here, and I'm just going to share the results with you. Somebody said that they had no mistakes with their resume, and I personally challenged them to message me either directly or in the breakout session, and I want to see your resume, because if you have all of these perfect, then you don't need to be at this session, which is okay. Or maybe you're learning something from Angela, which I shouldn't, maybe I'll just calm down a little bit, but I think it would be good to take a look again. I have yet to see a resume with all these components perfectly represented, but you never know, somebody may be out there that's doing it better than you.
Maybe they already talked to you at Ladderly.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Maybe I've already helped you. Maybe this is one of the 2 people that have actually attended Ladderly session. Okay. So that's kind of that's it for the group session. So before we break out into breakout sessions, I want to give the opportunity for people to ask questions in the chat box for anything that they may have before we go into the breakouts. Again, super highly recommend going to the breakouts. You don't want to miss it. I think we'll go over some really powerful things. Any questions, please type them in the box. I'll give you a second to write it. I will say one thing though. A lot of people have questions, especially traditional engineering, about how is the world changing with oil and gas. I would be surprised if there wasn't at least one person here who's trying to apply to a CNRL or a Cenovus or a Suncor or a Shell or a Chevron. It is a good time to be applying to oil and gas jobs as a new grad. You just have to know where to look. There are tons and tons of roles that are being created every day for oil and gas positions. I'm not suggesting that there aren't anything better. I'm just saying that that's really big. And funny fact, when the oil price goes up, the electricity price actually goes up as well normally, and therefore more jobs in green tech actually start being created as well. So just personally, I've gotten a ton of messages from recruiters in the last month about green tech jobs. There is a lot out there to go. So I'm not seeing any messages or questions in the group chat. Angela, do you have anything to add?
Maybe just an update, like on my side. It sounds like we're kind of the opposite. Like big tech is really slowing down their hiring. So if you really want to land a job in big tech right now, you really have to leverage your networking. It's crucial that you get, you know, that little boost to your application if you want to get those like new grad roles. I'm not sure about other tech sectors like ed tech or all the other sectors. I haven't been taking pulse of them, but it's kind of an update on my side. I don't see any questions.
No, I don't either. Maybe we can jump over to the breakout rooms. I'm not sure